What's going on, guys? It's Fantastic Films here today, and I'm going to be ranking the films of the one and only Paul Thomas Anderson. Surprisingly, there's not a whole lot of videos on YouTube discussing this man's illustrious filmography, so I figured I'd give it a shot. Ever since I first saw PunchDrunk Love, I was entranced with the way Anderson approached his films. Everything from framing and storytelling to the messages and metaphors, it's very, very clear with every film. Even in his first film, Hard 8, that Anderson's always had something to say, and he loves to make the audience think. Before we begin, I want to preface with that I'm only going to be discussing his feature-length films. Yes, I've seen Anima, it's fantastic. And of course, there's the Mattress Man commercial.
Hey, this is Dean Trumbull for the Mattress Man. Give me a call at 370-0466. For limited time only, D&D Mattress has queen mattress sets for $99 and king sets for $129.
Lastly, and most importantly, this video will be completely spoiler-free, but I will be discussing some basic plot points, so if you want to go in knowing absolutely nothing about these films, which I personally prefer doing myself, then stop watching this video and come check it out once you've watched all of PTA's masterpieces. So without further ado, let's get to ranking these films from my least favorite to my most favorite. Now, while Inherent Vice is in last place, it's definitely not a bad film. I mean, when I first watched it, it was kind of like one of those things where I was like, I've officially come across the one Paul Thomas Anderson film that I haven't loved. Don't get me wrong, this isn't terrible or anything, it's just very flawed in my opinion. With a painfully slow pace and an overly bloated runtime, Inherent Vice moves about as fast as a grandma on the highway. This also feels very jumbled and all over the place. There's so much movie going on that I never felt like I could really get attached to anything or anyone. The performances are all pretty good though. Joaquin Phoenix is an absolute master of his craft and is slowly becoming one of my favorite actors ever. Here he brings a great mix of sarcasm and humor to his role as Doc, a dope fiend detective in California working on 2 missing person cases through a smoky haze of marijuana. Other than that, I gotta be honest, this didn't really work for me. Many have said that this film gets better upon rewatch, but as of now, Inherent Vice wasn't quite my cup of tea. Phantom Thread was actually the first film by PTA that I had ever heard of. I remember watching the 2017 Oscars and thinking, this guy really knows what he's doing, and really wanting to see his movies. So when I finally saw this, while it's number 7 on this list, it's without a doubt a great film. This film circles around a dressmaker during 1950s post-war London, Reynolds Woodcock. He's at the center of British fashion and he's dressing movie stars and politicians and huge political figures. He's absolutely one of the best dressmakers in the game. But it's also a love story between him and this woman he meets named Alma, which, as the kind of person that he is, makes for quite the interesting relationship. But Phantom Thread is a meticulous film to the highest degree, esteemed in every sense of the word. Much like the subject matter, Anderson crafts this film together like a dressmaker would, putting each story beat and detail into place, while also hiding secrets in the fabric for the audience to know is there but not quite be able to find. Only Anderson can do that because, ladies and gentlemen, this is a tailor-made dress just for us. I'm not even sure what to say in the case of The Master. It's without a doubt a film like no other I've ever seen. One that I feel, if to be truly appreciated, will require multiple viewings, but nevertheless, it was absolutely phenomenal. Now, of course, there's the obvious parallels between The Cause being a representation of the birth of Scientology, which personally I would have to agree with. While it has never been confirmed or denied by PTA, it seems pretty obvious, and that's the conclusion that I came to. There's so much to love here. I absolutely love just the look of this film. The cinematography is absolutely gorgeous and makes the film fly by like a breeze. Everything from the impeccable acting from Phoenix and Hoffman to the meticulous direction by Paul Thomas Anderson himself, he easily makes The Master an absolute treat for film enthusiasts like myself. Magnolia is a film that I naturally gravitated towards because I love epics. When done right, a 3-hour epic can be one of the most immersive experiences that I can ever sit through, and Paul Thomas Anderson absolutely nailed it with Magnolia. Magnolia has been hailed as not only one of Anderson's best films, but also called a mosaic of life and the American dream itself. Magnolia connects together 9 different stories, all intertwined together, and brings them full circle in the end. Plus, we have a standout performance from Tom Cruise, who, if you don't know, is one of my favorite actors of all time. Also from Jason Robards and William H. Macy, John C. Reilly. It's really amazing how many people are in in this movie. In the end, Magnolia is a film that I've never seen anything like before, and it's going to be one of those unique films that I'll definitely check out very frequently. Going into Hard 8, I really wasn't expecting that much. From what I had heard from most film enthusiasts and film fans of Paul Thomas Anderson's work, most had it in last place, and I wasn't expecting a whole lot. But after seeing it, I've got to be honest, for me, this is up there with Reservoir Dogs as one of the best directorial debuts I've ever seen. Hard 8 absolutely hits, and Philip Baker Hall is one of my favorite actors, this being his best performance without a doubt. It's amazing that even from the start, Anderson was cranking out incredible stuff. Unsimilar to Reservoir Dogs, though, is the lack of widespread appreciation. I found Hard 8 to be absolutely riveting, and it might have the best pacing of Anderson's entire filmography. If you haven't seen this masterpiece yet, unfortunately it's not on Blu-ray yet, but it is free on Amazon Prime as of January 2020. I absolutely love PunchDrunk Love. It's so damn sweet and undeniably charming in every sense of the word. PunchDrunk Love was actually my first PTA film that I ever saw, and it turned me around to Adam Sandler, so it's always held a special place in my heart. While the subject matter is very dark and at times very hard to watch, it's always been a film that I've found immensely rewatchable, and this viewing was even better than all the others. There's just so much I have to say about this film that I honestly might make a video separate just for PunchDrunk Love, but it's just one of my favorite films of all time. There's so many hidden details I noticed, so many incredible moments, and of course, so much pudding. I'll be honest, I was pretty intimidated going into this. It reminded me of the first time I sat down to watch The Godfather. I've been hearing about There Will Be Blood before I even got into movies and the multitude of praises received. So naturally, I was a bit skeptical and obviously intimidated, but I've got to say, it lived up to the hype and then some. As lengthy of a runtime as this has, I can't wait to go back and revisit this modern masterpiece as soon as possible. Who would have thought a film about an oil man in the early 1900s would be as riveting as it was? Daniel Day-Lewis perhaps gives one of the best performances ever committed to the silver screen as we know it, and does so effortlessly. The character of Daniel Plainview is set up so brilliantly as a greedy, twisted man. To top that off with a totally engrossing plot and immaculate direction from PTA, this has to be one of his best films, and honestly one of the best films that I've ever seen. Boogie Nights is a film that completely subverted my expectations, but I've got to be honest, after watching it, it has to be my favorite Paul Thomas Anderson movie. It's absolutely riveting, and it's one of my favorite movies of all time. As I was saying earlier, I absolutely adore epics, and while Paul Thomas Anderson's Magnolia is one of his best, my favorite epic of his has got to be Boogie Nights. It's very rare when I am absolutely completely engrossed into a film from start to finish, especially if it's a long film, where I don't even once think about the time, I don't think about checking my phone or what I have to do. I am 110% invested in that movie, and Boogie Nights is one of those movies. Wahlberg gives one of his best performances, and this really feels similar to Top Gun of Tom Cruise, his absolute breakout role. He plays an average kid with a not so average package, thrust right into the world of pornography, and it's enthralling. You got Burt Reynolds and Julianne Moore, Philip Seymour Hoffman, basically all of Paul Thomas Anderson's key hitters are in this movie. To put it lightly, there's something about this film that I really just can't describe. Yes, it has sex. Yes, it has some nudity. But in the end, it's honestly a lot tamer than I thought it was going to be going in. For those of you who are usually squeamish about stuff like that, I definitely recommend this film just because it's not like the others where it's shown but it doesn't have a purpose. It's just like, oh, here's some tits, you know. It's very much so a film that while it's there, it has a purpose, it's saying something, and kind of similar to Goodfellas, it definitely shows the glory side of it, but also shows the side of it that's just degrading and messes with your head. It shows the drug addiction and the double crossing and the untrustworthiness of everyone in that circle. If I had to sum it up, it's basically the Goodfellas of the 1970s adult film industry, and it's without a doubt my favorite Paul Thomas Anderson film. So that's gonna do it, guys. Thank you so much for watching this video. If you liked it, make sure to give it a like. If you had any comments, just leave them down in the comments section down below. Let me know what your favorite PTA film is, or your ranking, or if you've seen PTA, or if you haven't, definitely check it out, but let me know in the comments. Share this video and make sure to subscribe if you like what you see here. That way I can see you guys soon.